everyone. It's Monday, February the 23rd, 6:36 p.m. We're live. About 20 people joining right now. Thank you so much for your support. This is Loud and Proud Orlando. My name is Luis Carlos Pineda, and I'll be your host today. I'm here with David as well as John Rollins. We have a massive amount of news right now coming through. And the biggest one of them all, and the first topic that we're going to be discussing is the Athletic, Paul Tenorio / Tom Bogerbaum, Orlando City, in heavy talks with Antoine Griezmann from Atletico Madrid to join Orlando City. We'll discuss all of that, the implications. How's it going to look like? Is Papi going to be keen? Is he going to bench him? No, we don't know yet. We'll discuss all of that and more. As well, we'll discuss the doom and gloom. Game 1 review. Loss 2-1 against the New Red Bulls. We'll also be discussing the 2026 new game day experience. How did that new section go and all that good stuff. I want to give kudos to the ILF for the massive tifo of Claus, as well as the Ruckus. As always, definitely the atmosphere was super electric. The result probably wasn't what everybody was expecting or everybody wanted. I mean, some of us were expecting that, I'm sure. But, you know, there are positives and there's a lot of negatives, but also there's a lot of positives too. So we'll dive into all of that and more. For starters, I'm here with John and David. John, how are you, my friend? Good to see you again. And how about those news about Griezmann joining Orlando City?
This is huge news, man. I mean, we'll get into it in a second, but I think something's going on here with Ricardo leaking information to like Tom Boga on a Monday afternoon. This is like a trend. It's like every Monday we're about to go live, and there's some like either during the pod or before the pod, and we drop some massive news. So you know it's working out for our schedule. So we're glad you guys could be here, and perfectly timed to get in and talk about this Frenchman that might be coming to Orlando City.
David, how are you, my friend? And what do you think about, you know, for starters, you know, the news of Antoine Griezmann kind of dancing at Orlando City's tunes?
Yeah, doing well, guys. Good to see you both on this Monday. Good to see all of our regulars here on the show as well. Really lively crowd going on. You know, a little down after Saturday, of course, because not the result we wanted and all that kind of stuff. And like a lot of people, I've been racking my brain all weekend trying to figure out what's the best solution going forward? How much can we really take from one game and all that kind of stuff? And then while I'm doing my pondering, you know, Tom Bogert and Paul Tenorio and see, you know, Merlot and all these other people come crashing in telling us that all this stuff is going on with Griezmann. So just a really crazy, you know, Monday with everything going on, but really excited to get into it. I want to give a quick shout out, if I can, Luis, to my buddies over on the subreddit, to Justin, he goes by J-Bone on there, and then to Johnny, who goes by Red Star. Both of them have been really awesome today and handling that news and putting some stuff together. So I really appreciate the both of them and helping me hold it down and all that kind of stuff. And then Mike from Orlando's Lions Den, shout out to him as well for us geeking out a little bit on the news as well as it broke. So really exciting feelings coming from the fan base so far.
This is Tuvi Yanis. Hey guys, the game was super rough. Also saw a lot of good come out of it with some of our new players. Did you see Orlando City UK tweeted the number 7 jersey theory? Yeah, he's
Yeah, so Mike had that too. There was they had mentioned that briefly before the game that Thiago had switched numbers, because if you look at the press release, so both Mike and Taylor had that pretty dead to rights. So shout out to them for noticing that for sure.
Well, Taylor does the whole jersey thing.
No, I know, but it really came out at the same time. So I want to shout out both of them for catching that, because it kind of changed last minute. And some people at the game were saying to me, hey, I thought Thiago was 7. And I was like, so did I. And it kind of caught everybody off guard. So
it says, it's always good to see you in good health coming off the back end with a loss. At home always stings. But what a class act from Max Taffi and Thiago and an improved Angulo. There you go. Thank you, basically, keep. Corpo was a beast. I feel bad that the defense let him down. Not sure how Oscar saw Iago training sessions and thought he was ready. Well, I mean, for the accolades he achieved, You could definitely make the assumption he was ready to start. But again, it tells you the MLS has grown. So good for the MLS, you know? Griezmann, oh my God, vamos Orlando. Good evening, guys. Can't wait to hear your takes on the game. I was so mad about this Orlando performance. I saw the news about Griezmann. This will be an interesting episode for multiple reasons as Big Time Gamer. Thank you guys for your support. For starters, I do want to say it's I think it's great for everybody that was saying that this team doesn't invest jack shit on absolutely nothing. They can go, and I only have 2 words for you, and it's suck it. That's all I'm going to say. If they're able to close it down, you guys can suck it, and from hearing from complaints about freaking chicken tenders, from hearing about complaints about balloons in the stadium and all kinds of stuff, and then the team doesn't invest jack shit, and then they don't, even though they're investing over $80 million on the Heritage Park, and they're doing all these signings of U22s and trying to get team younger. It's never going to end, I'm sure, even if Griezmann signs. But I feel it's the move in the right direction. I think the biggest question mark is, how is Griezmann going to work in an Oscar Pareja world? And with that, I go to John. How do you think that Griezmann may look like in an Oscar Pareja world?
I think you have 2 options. I think you either put him in the left wing position or you put him in the number 9 position. He definitely can play both. He has played both throughout his career. He's kind of an Oscar number 9 in the sense that he's like in that Ramiro Enrique kind of mold where he's just like very intelligent striker and will make good runs off the ball. So I think you could play him as a number 9, and maybe he's the DP9 that we've been missing. Maybe that's what Ricardo is thinking, but you could play him anywhere across the back line. I mean,
100%.
the obvious slot is left wing, but we have a lot of left wing competition. And I think just the way that he reads the game, he could be a really effective number 9 in Major League Soccer. I don't know. Maybe we're going to change up the formation. I mean, he's very versatile. Like, really, you could play him anywhere. But I just think because we have Martin Ojeda, who's really a natural 10, you have Marco Pasalic natural on the right wing. If you're bringing this guy in, it's either for the left wing or for the striker, in my opinion. But we've been missing more than where he plays. I think what's important is up until now, like this, like the ceiling for Orlando City has been only so much, right? And then you look at some of these other teams around the league. You look at your, LAFCs who brought in Son. You look at Vancouver who brought in Mueller, right? This is the kind of signing that we've been screaming out for. And on that list, always for me, like top of that list almost, was Antoine Griezmann. I was like, well, he's the kind of guy I'd love to get in. And now here we are actually talking about potentially getting in Antoine Griezmann because he ticks all those boxes, right? It's not just about his skill. It's about his professionalism. It's about the fact that he's still very, very good at his age. So I think that he would be a guy that I don't have any doubts about being a success in Major League Soccer. And that's really what we want from this main DP, is a guy that we know is a guaranteed sure thing, who's going to elevate our game and be that missing leader and piece that we haven't had since like Nani has gone.
Now, Griezmann definitely is going to, put the brand of Orlando City out there 100%, kind of like what Donnie did and Kaká did as well when Orlando first came at the helm into the MLS. Now, for you, David, how impactful is this signing, and could be this signing? And I wanted to ask you in regards to him adapting, with the current roster we currently have. Mm-hmm. I kind of feel that this is if this gets through the line, mm-hmm. This could be a signing that you could build a team around, a player like Griezmann. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Sure. Yeah. So I think to go off a little bit of what John was talking about in terms of how he fits, I think what you could see more often if Oscar Pareja wants to stay in his traditional 4-2-3-1 is you could see Griezmann sort of start at the 9, and I put that in quotes because I could see him and Ojeda just kind of playing off of each other. Like sometimes one will go forward, the other one will stay a little bit back, and then vice versa. So they'll really just both kind of feel the space around them. We know Ojeda likes to naturally drift sort of left, so he's going to want to occupy that space. But it'll be interesting to see kind of how they play off each other. The other thing that we saw kind of work this weekend that might also work formationally is we did see Orlando City shift into a 4-4-2, or it's sometimes what looked like a 4-2-2-2. And so you might be able to potentially get both really the two of them, of course, but then potentially another striker next to Griezmann as well, who's not going to occupy the same space if you want to go more attacking, because it definitely looked like this team was more on the front foot when they played a 4-2-2-2, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. I don't want to get too deep into that. What I think Griezmann can give us, and I don't think enough people right now are talking about it, and I get it because we're all kind of in shock that it's, you know, as advanced as it may seem at this point, is that this guy's going to come in and he's going to be a great mentor for all of the young players that we've brought in this off season, and sort of to your point, Luis, be another Nani and a Kaká and leading the locker room the way it needs to be led. Because right now we feel like the leaders are there, but it's very it's kind of like silent. It's kind of quiet. We know Martino Hayes is sort of that quiet leader. Let my play speak for itself behind closed doors. He's a little bit more vocal. Wilder was the other guy we were hoping for, but unfortunately Wilder, you know, he's going to be out for a little bit based on what we see and what we've heard from Saturday. So we're not going to really have that. Obviously, we know Robin Jansson's out for half the season at least. So this team could really use the benefit of a leader who can come in and not only lead with his play, but lead with his speech, you know, get these young guys going, all that kind of stuff. Plus, if you have a guy like this in practice, over time, you're going to make everybody better, right? If they're going to have to defend this guy every day, if they're going to have to, you know, they're going to be able to learn off of this guy, what a great benefit it would be for people like Duncan Maguire, Justin Ellis, a Harvey Sajarin. Like, all these guys are going to get a huge benefit from something like this if it gets over the line. And I want to keep saying that, because until we get the deal is finalizing, or until, you know, the club starts to put out its lovely hints, because I imagine it will be a huge announcement if they get it over the line, you know, let's hold our breath a little bit. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. But I think he just gives a lot of the intangibles besides the on-the-field performance. He's going to sell jerseys. He's going to put butts in seats. He's going to do all the things we've been talking about for weeks. But I think the other great thing is what he's going to be able to do with the players around him.
Now, would you say that I mean, just kind of to mix what you and John said,
sure.
I feel like if this gets over the line, I mean, the whole discussion of the Wolves not putting money, it's ridiculous. And because eventually this signing is going to attract better quality players.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is a good comment right here from Efrol VR88. It says, don't you guys think he may play as a 10 and Martina on the right, considering Pasalic may leave? Well, we don't know if Pasalic may leave. You know, like, again, I mean, a lot of things can happen until the World Cup. You know, worst case scenario, he may not even be called out. I mean, I think he's going to be called out for the World Cup, but I'm just saying he may not be. You know what I mean? Like, Croatia may decide to make him stay in Orlando, and then he's going to stay put. It could happen. Now, if he decides to leave, it definitely helps to have a Griezmann that can play, like John said, in both sides and in the middle as a striker. So, you know, we've seen in Real Sociedad, we've seen him in Barcelona, we've seen him in Atleti. So, I mean, he's definitely a great signing, and a signing that it still has miles left. And not only that, is a guy who's going to attract other players. Now, look at LAFC and the pounding they give the Flamingos last weekend. And Heung-min Son, it's in like a huge momentum, right? I mean, to me, he looks like he's the best player in the MLS right now from the DP side. So huge. So, I mean, there's a huge French community. I've heard from some sources that French community, it's kind of already trying to reach out, you know, the people from the French community in Orlando. So, it says here, Stream Jesus, hold your horses, guys. Orlando de Janeiro, it says here. I mean, I think Stream Jesus wants Neymar, you know. A nerdy versus, instead of the roaring lion statue, it will be a roaring Eiffel Tower statue, or it could be a baguette. or it could be raclette, or it could be ratatouille. If this signing occurs, I think Thiago and Griezmann, with the backup of Ojeda, it's a lethal trio up top high. Let alone Dorsey, who's not afraid to flank the sideline and make a chance at goal. Yeah, there you go. It says, imagine the headline: Messi versus Griezmann. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be great. Now, obviously, the question mark is, per rumors and per sources, also one of the reasons why Nani decided, and that's what I've heard too, that he decided to kind of step out and continue his career somewhere else and now finish his career with Orlando, was because, in a way, Oscar, you know what I mean? And the fact that, he kind of feels like he likes certain types of players, Now, I do want to say, though, with this signing, if it whatever the deal is, if they push it through the line, to me, I don't know what John thinks after what I want to say, but Mr. Pareja is going to have to make it work. Whether he likes it or not, he's going to have to make it work. And I mean, this is a world-class caliber striker that I think any team in the MLS would like to have, right, John?
Yeah, I mean, we all know Oscar's on the hot seat, right? Obviously, we'll talk a bit more about that later, but if it becomes, when you bring in someone like Griezmann, if Griezmann comes in and he doesn't like the way that Oscar's running things, that's just going to add more pressure to the situation where they're going to want to keep him happy, right? I think maybe we're getting a little bit too far ahead of ourselves. Like we said, we haven't got him over the line yet, and we have his discovery rights, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's 100% a done deal. I do think, though, that why would Ricardo tell Tom Bogert about this unless he feels pretty confident, right?
You don't get that many sources. I think.
You're not going to want to get this out there unless you're feeling pretty confident, like we're fairly down the road, like they can make this happen, or else you're just going to really upset the fans. If this doesn't happen, then fans are going to be even more annoyed, because they're like, oh, what happened with Griezmann? How did we let that go? Et cetera, et cetera. So I think Ricardo obviously knows that. So I feel like he's not going to have this information go out there unless he feels pretty sure like it's going to be a done deal. Maybe there's something here with trying to make this happen like sooner. I don't know. Maybe because obviously the first game of the season wasn't great. Maybe there's something going on with us trying to make it like happen now instead of the summer. Like I would assume he wouldn't want to come to the summer, obviously, because he's out of, like we could bring him now, but what, like, are Atletico going to want to let him go? They're in the middle of the season. They don't have a transfer window. So it's strange timing. If this news had come out in the window, it would be like, okay, it's going to happen now. I'm not saying it's over for us in this window, but it is definitely, not a time that they would want to let him go. So maybe there's something in that. I don't know. We'll have to see. But it's exciting stuff, man. I mean, he's one that everybody will turn ahead and say, well, what? Orlando signed Antoine Griezmann. What? Like, and that's what we've been missing. As much as I love all of the youth players and I like that and I want to be built around that, we got to also have a little bit of star power, a little bit of somebody to put butts in seats, right? We can't have no names that anybody knows. Like it's kind of true. Like, and we had Luis Muriel, who, even though he wasn't good, he was a name, like not as no way near as a name as Griezmann. But I feel like we need one or two in our club at all times, and that's just the modern MLS era, I think.
Yeah. What you wanted to say something, David?
Yeah, to really just hit, I think John exactly got it. I think this sort of like, sort of scheduled or thoughtful leak to, because we know there's some kind of connection between Tom and the front office for Orlando City, because things tend to get over the line pretty quickly after Tom, puts something out. I think this is a deliberate play to try to force Atleti's hand to say, we really want to get this guy now if we can get him now. I think the sell to the player is, You come over to the States, you get used to the States a little bit early ahead of the World Cup. You don't have to get up to speed with how the United States works because you'll already be here. Put in as much time as you can before the World Cup comes around. And then, of course, they'll release him for the World Cup. He'll do his thing, and then he'll come back. To the club, to Atleti, it might be a harder sell. But if you look at like his latest games that he's played in, he just started this past weekend. But before that, he's been a sub off the bench for the past like month and change. So he isn't been the regular starter for them based on some of the stats I can see, unless something is wrong. But he's getting a lot more sub appearances right now than he is starter appearances. And then to kind of go back to the formation chat real quick, is the last game that he just started in on Saturday, they played in a 4-4-2 with him as the second striker playing off of another striker for Atleti. So that kind of shows his like versatility in terms of where you want to stick him and where you want to put him. So it's very interesting. I see you're pulling it up now. There's just they have more of a, that's interesting. More of a interesting. Okay. Anyway,
I wouldn't trust FootMob's lineups.
Yeah.
Like their lineups are often like the formation. I mean,
can we get Lookman as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was on Transfer Marked and they have it as a 4-4-2, but whatever it is.
Yeah, but he's playing as a forward.
Yeah, so I think it's a great deal of business for Ricardo. Now, let me say this: fans shouldn't be upset if he doesn't come till the summer, though, because I mean, if you just got to get the deal done now and then he comes in the summer, and then this team will have to navigate the first part of the season and figure it out. But we assumed they were going to have to navigate the first part of the season and figure it out anyway. So to me, it doesn't really change the dynamic. All it does is tell us that we have a player definitely coming in the summer when that summer window opens. It's just we need to figure out how to stay by or above the line by the time the summer's around so that he can take us another step further of what we need to do.
Now, I do feel like when it comes to Griezmann, he could certainly allow Maguire on that 4-4-2 lineup that you were saying, on maybe stretching the back line, and then his fit would be for Griezmann to kind of find pockets of space between the midfield and defense, much as kind of what he does with Atletico right now. And in a way, I mean, I can't believe I'm drawing this parallel. You guys are probably gonna bust out laughing, but obviously Oscar demands high engagement from their attackers. Like you've seen sometimes Duncan treading back and trying to recoup a ball, trying to play defensively and trying to, be a master of the mid block. And Simeone does the same thing. So I feel like he's played with Simeone for so long. Unlike other 34-year-olds, who may just kind of like Muriel, for example, who would just stay up top and not go defend. He would actually go and track back and be that, that. Well,
Luis, you want to know a good comp that we just saw this weekend? Forsberg. He was all over the field
100%
this past weekend. And so if Griezmann wants to be that guy and be all over the field, he certainly can. And I'm sure Oscar would welcome that with open arms, right? Because that was also the big argument that people had, is he going to track back? Is he going to play the Poppy system? So
yeah. Also, he has obviously a high level soccer IQ. I mean, no wonder he's playing in one of the top teams in the world, right? So certainly he's going to be like John was saying and you were saying, David, a really good presence in the locker room. But also he's a set piece specialist. I mean, I've seen him score goals in set pieces all the time, and we don't have that. We haven't had that since Nani. So, I mean,
Luis, can I comment one more thing about the coaching thing, which I think is important, because I know a lot of people are saying, is he a fit for Oscar, right? Uh-huh. If he's not, let's say Oscar can't figure it out, which I don't want to throw him down the river. I hope he can. But like, there's a French coach out there right now that knows MLS really well, 100%. Who would find ways to play him. That's all I'm going to say. I'm just going to put it out there.
Yeah, I mean, look, when you bring a high caliber, high IQ, soccer IQ level player like Griezmann, or like Human Son, I mean, if you don't make it work, like you just have to step out. I mean, it's just bottom line. I mean, the club is making a huge investment to get him. They're gonna build around this player. You know what I mean? It's already coming into a market that for some people may not be attractive, but for him, probably it kind of matches what he likes. Maybe he's a Magic fan, and maybe maybe he likes Disney. You know what I mean? He wants to go around the world in Epcot. You know what I mean? Maybe he likes that kind of stuff, and we don't know, and that attracts them. So it just makes sense if he has to make it work. Like there's no like, oh, I'm gonna try. No. I think this is a player that the club is gonna make a huge investment on, and I think it's gonna be the face of the franchise. And I think he's gonna have to make it work. Let's read some comments real quick. And Donnie Moore, what a Monday night! We could have possibly be acquiring the second best player in club history, resume wise. Let's fucking go, says Donnie Moore. Yeah, I think after Kaká, I mean,
he scored 200 goals for Atletico Madrid.
Yeah, he's a legend.
That's
man.
crazy.
I mean, that is insane.
He's a fucking legend, bro.
That is he is a literal legend. I mean, yeah. I mean, that stat alone just put that.
He's gonna come and play with Mickey Mouse, baby.
Yeah, we love it. He also, I did not know this, but he apparently is a big NFL fan, and he has a podcast called the Grizzly Hustle.
Hell yeah.
Grizzly Huddle.
Did not know that.
podcast.
That's interesting. Okay.
That is awesome.
I know he's like big basketball. Like
Luis,
he's big into American culture.
Luis,
So
he can
I'm not
watch the
surprised.
Jags when they come to Orlando
Yeah,
next
he can
season.
come watch the Jags.
There we
I know.
go,
Like legit,
baby.
he'll be at Magic games. If he comes, he will go to Magic
Yeah,
games.
I know he likes
He's
basketball. I've heard
he's
that.
into
Yeah.
American culture. I think LAFC would be my concern.
Yeah.
Do they turn his head? That's like, I don't want to put it out there. Knock on wood, it's not the case.
Yeah.
But that's
But
where
John-
I saw him going.
But John, to your point, this is where ownership and Ricardo have to put up.
Right.
Exactly.
They've got to figure out a way to close it.
And I don't think Ricardo would leak this if he thought LAFC
Exactly.
would get him.
I
right?
Yeah,
think-
well,
I
and the
don't think
Wilfs,
that
and
would
more
be-
so, like to Luis's point about spending money, the Wilfs have got to put up or shut up, right? I mean, this is a perfect opportunity to show the fan base, hey, we're putting 80 million plus into Heritage. We bought all these youth players for $10+ million. Then we're going to spend another whatever it's going to be for Griezmann to get him out
20
early,
million, maybe?
and pay his contract for the next. The rumor is 3 years for the next 3 years. That's how you prove to people that you're taking this seriously, and that right there is going to shut up a lot of people all at once for sure.
And again, bold moves. I think the time of waiting for this team to be fantastic. I think a lot of fans, for what I got on the first game, they expect for this team to take off. And they deserve it, because I mean, seeing the whole stadium sold out on the weekend and them not be able to unfortunately deliver a result for them, it was utterly frustrating, not to say the least. And so, hell yeah, bring somebody like Griezmann and make it work and build around. Maybe, like I said, go for the Open Cup. And again, we're gonna dive in right now into talking about.
Well, as a closing thought, Luis, if Pasalic goes in the summer, like some of us think he might, depending on how he does and if he goes with the World Cup, the front office doesn't need to stop. If you get Griezmann in, go and get somebody else who's going to upgrade on Pasalic even, right? Because now that you've got Griezmann, you can get the pull. Like you can go you kind
I
of hinted
think
at.
counter that. I think Pasalic won't want to leave if he knows Griezmann.
That would be great. And if it convinces Pasalic to stay, then even better, right? Like that's a win right there to be like, hey, let's go do it. But if he wants to go,
I don't want to lose Marco. I would love our DP trio to be 100%. Pasalic and Griezmann. That's a sick DP trio. So I don't want to lose him. But yeah, if Marco goes, then you got it right. This only works if we have
bring in more Frenchmen,
the other
man.
2 DPs. If we lose Marco, you got to replace that too.
Bring all the Frenchmen is all I'm gonna say.
Maybe you can bring a Belgian striker. You know what I mean?
Here we go. Back on the Luke.
Let's get to the game before we get too excited.
There you go. Let's read some comments and then we'll go into the game. Donnie Moore, exactly right, David. New French connection to Florida. There you go.
100%.
Basically, Keith, we need butts in seats, and this will be a damn sure way to do it. 100%, Keith. And again, I want to thank you for all your comments, because I know you've been kind of sending the DMs. And
shout out to Keeb. What a guy. What a legend.
Yeah. We appreciate you, and I'm glad that you were able to.
What does Keeb mean? Is that your name? I need to know.
Yeah, that's his name.
What is a Keeb?
Well, that's like part of his name.
Okay. All right, Keith. What's up, bro?
85 overall joining the teams is done.
He's already thinking about
Playing the
FIFA. Let's
FIFA.
go.
Man, is that our first 85 ranked player? I think it is.
Could be.
Ever.
Nani was ranked pretty high.
Kaká was close to that when he came.
I think
He must have
Nani
been
got up to
low
81.
80s.
Yeah, I think Nani was
Yeah,
81.
Nani was
so
low
somewhere
80s.
there.
I think he would be the highest rated, probably.
For sure.
He has 85 rating on FIFA, says KB Magic. Thank you. What a signing this will be, says Kenneth Allen. What a Monday night. Miss Adriana Camerini says, is Neymar completely out of the picture now, or it hasn't been in the picture at all? Well, again, you bring in someone like Griezmann, it's easier to say, hey, you want to play with Neymar? And Neymar will be like, hey, what, Griezmann is in your team? And who's the Argentinian there? Oh, it's Ojeda. And who's the Croatian? Oh, hell yeah, I'll come play. You know what I mean? So it's just a different vibe. So I think
if Neymar has anything left.
No, if Neymar obviously wants to take a pay cut and wants to come play in the MLS.
I want to say one more thing before we go to the game. It also said in this article that Tom put out that if we are also looking at other targets. So if this doesn't work out, there are other options.
You have to let Ricardo cook. We've been saying it all off season.
Like this, like Griezmann, this is better than Richarlison, but we're in the same conversation, and that's what we're looking for. So
maybe Jack Grealish, man. Maybe. There you go. So we're gonna now go into, guys, doom and gloom. I'm about to take my violin right now. And either way, it was a tough game. We knew Red Bulls were gonna be tough. They've always been. But that first half, guys, was just a nightmare. It was really, I feel really bad for the fandom that went there and supported. It was an amazing atmosphere. There were a lot of people from New York Red Bulls, and actually there were a lot of people in the press box. It was packed, and I'm wondering, and I'm sitting here, well, why? Because it's the Red Bulls. Well, everybody wants to be for that Inter game, so they gotta show that they can make the games, so they can make it to the Miami game. See what I mean? So otherwise, it won't be accredited. And so there was so many people we'll never see throughout the year, and they were there happily. But the atmosphere was just electric. The tifo was amazing, and unfortunately, the team couldn't deliver a W for everybody. It was a loss, 2-1. And yeah, I mean, all I can say is our backline is a little green. I think the subs came in clutch and changed the pace of the game. And what happened to Wilder is unfortunate, but I have what I've been told, and just to kind of tell everybody, it's a pulled ham. I think it's a pulled hammy from the back. They are not disclosing any medical stuff. He's questionable for the Inter game, but we'll see. They're going to be practicing, I believe, today and tomorrow, I believe. And so if he's not on the training footage, then more than likely he's not going to be part of the Inter game.
Can I add a piece or two to that? Because I have heard some things as well.
Sure.
Most likely he's out for Inter, from what I understand. From some people that I talked to, it could be a couple weeks for him to get back into the best form. But just heartbreaking to see Wilder go down, not only that early, but also in the way that he did. He's been fighting so hard in preseason to come back.
I was told he cried not so much of the injury or the knock. He was crying more of the frustration on not being able to help his team. And that came from club sources, I do want to say. And so when you see him crying, he wasn't crying because he's super hurt. He's crying because he's just frustrated that he has to leave. You have to understand, when you have
all preseason coming back to go down in the first 10 minutes, that's mentally
It's
destroy you. Yeah.
it's flashbacks of his family passing him freaking a cup of water. Like it's really messed up in your mind mentally. Like if you're an athlete. So he went through the whole process. The club helped him, and that's why he's been trying to be the best version of himself. And to have that happen, he got really scared, and it was more of like he was super scared of the people and failing you guys and failing his teammates. But talking to club sources, they're gonna more than likely, like David was saying, he probably won't be part of the Inter game, but it's not something that's gonna sideline him like Jansen, for example. You know what I mean? It's not.
Hey, Luis,
it's not
do we know? Was it on the same leg that he had his Achilles injury on?
I believe so.
Because
Yeah.
I was talking to a couple. I was talking to a medical friend. I think I mentioned them on the Janssen show when we talked about Janssen's injury, and I talked to them about it and said, "Hey, would there be any possible correlation?" And he said, technically, if like once his Achilles, of course, healed and he's back in training, there could have been different stress on his leg that could have caused a hamstring injury because he runs differently now maybe or plays a little bit differently now and things like that. So
not only that, he was going all out.
yeah,
he was going all
I
out.
feel awful for the guy. I really do because he looked good in the 13 minutes we got of him or whatever it was, but just unfortunately, yeah, just really sad.
So it was a first half that it should have, I think, one of the worst first halves I've ever seen of the team playing in a long time. I think since maybe 2017. Thoughts, John, for starters, on the horrendous first half? I mean, what are your takes on pros and cons on this half for Orlando City?
Oh, I don't have any pros from the first half. Honestly, it's all cons. In fact, I'll show you right here. Look at the momentum on FootMob. I mean, look at that. Like this second half is what you usually see in most games. Like there might be periods up and down. That first half, like we didn't even look like an MLS team. Like it looked like we never played soccer before. It was horrific. I mean, they just opened us up in so many ways. Like, and there's a bunch of kids out there. Like, fair play to Michael Bradley for trusting his kids that he won MLS with. And, Bob was out here telling us that they're going to be good from day one. But you just don't know, right? And they came out with confidence. They came out aggressive. And we just did a lot of the things that we saw in the Colorado game. It was really a continuation of that. Just disruption in the back line. I think, Brecalo, Iago, their relationship was all over the place. Iago obviously just did not look comfortable at all. You've got Maxime Crepeau coming off his line, I think, in that first goal that maybe he should have just stayed put. And that's something I've seen several times in preseason. So I didn't like that. There was just a lot of bad, right? I mean, they should have scored 5 or 6 goals, Red Bulls. Like there was some good saves in there from Maxime. There was a few last minute blocks, but Red Bulls should have scored more. Really, they should have got most 3 or 4 goals in that first game, that first half, put the game away, and then we would have had no chance at coming back into it. So from the first half, I'm struggling to think of only really Crepeau, and that's because he was getting peppered, that he had some good moments, but there were some bad ones because he also conceded 2 goals. So second half, we'll talk about in a minute, very different story, but first half, I got nothing positive.
David, first half thoughts?
I never want to think about that first half ever again. I think Oscar Pareja, I think, nailed it in his press conference when he said is the worst half Orlando City's ever played. And I'm sorry, but I'm going to call Oscar out on this a little bit. You set the team up for the first half. It's on you to put the right bodies and the right people in the right position. And to me, that wasn't done, right? It just wasn't. I just don't. And we saw that in the second half, and we'll talk about the second half a little bit later. I don't want to dog on Dorsey too much. I saw a lot of people dogging on Dorsey. The guy had 2 training sessions with us.
Yeah, man.
You can't sit here and dog on the guy. He had 2 training sessions. 100%. And when he got forward, he looked good when he got forward. Problem is, he had no defense, and then he got cooked so many times by Rubalcava. It was insane. I don't know what that was all about, but fine. I'm not going to dog on the guy too much. Marin had moments, but then he slipped back into his, like, I don't know what I'm doing half the time. And Cade Cowell started bodying him and cooking him as well, and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of what John said. These young kids wanted it more than we wanted it. 100%. They came out with fire, and they were like, we don't care that we're young. We don't care that we're starting whatever, 2 17-year-olds and an 18-year-old or whatever it was. They didn't care about any of that. They're like, we're going to come out here. We're going to fight. It was like Forsberg surrounded by the fountain of youth is what it felt like. It's like Forsberg was the old man, and everybody else is just running around him and assisting him, and they all just flowed so easily together and understood the assignment and knew where they needed to be. I feel bad for Iago as well. I think he got thrown into a really tough situation.
Yeah.
We found out, obviously, in the broadcast that he missed a couple of training days from an illness. I wonder if it's similar to the illness that Ojeda went through as well. So the kid just needs time. Can we not dog on him either? Like, he needs time.
Yeah.
He's fresh. He's fresh out of Brazil. He got here the latest out of everyone else. Like, should Nolan Miller have started this game? Probably, in hindsight, yes. The answer to that should have been yes, right? But Oscar was going out, and sort of Luis's point earlier, he was going off of Iago's pedigree and hoping that his pedigree was going to speak more for itself, and it just didn't. He needs more time to understand MLS. He needs to understand that he needs to be more physical, because this ref let both teams kind of get away with a lot of BS as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. So he should have played more physically. It is what it is. I thought both Ojedas disappeared in the first half. They were non-existent. They were not really around anything. I'm not sure what they were doing. Duncan, same thing. Don't know where he was, not sure what he was doing. Spicer had the best opportunities, but had no end product. It was like watching Angulo all over again get down the left-hand side. It's like, go Spicer, go. You got this, you got this, you got that. You get to the 18, nothing. There was nothing there to do anything.
Best Angulo. Like,
yeah, he was like doing an Angulo impression, and it was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, come on.
Yeah,
and then, like, Marco Pasalic, when you need your DPs to step up and change the game, neither one of them did that in the first half. Not a single opportunity in the first half convinced me that those DPs were up and ready for this game. I mean, how many touches did Pasalic get in the entire game? It couldn't have been a lot. 27 touches. He got 27 touches the entire first half, because he really only played a half.
He'd go inside, and Griffin, like, I'd see Griffin like go around him, and then he, like, there's not a relationship there yet. Like, you could just tell that it just wasn't working. But I also think Marco didn't create anything. Like, he wasn't being aggressive on his front foot, and they just closed him out. And like, he's got to figure out how to do more than just that one thing, right? Or else he's going to turn into Facu Torres again.
Well, and like a lot of people,
he can't just go left every time.
Yeah, and like a lot of people have said in the chat, Orlando City was lucky this wasn't 3-0, 4-0 going into halftime. Like, Red Bull should have finished some more of those chances, and they just didn't.
You know what really annoyed me is, like, whenever we get pinned back like that, and we're just like, we're bad in defense, we still get these moments where we break out. And like you said, in the first half, everything was just falling to Spicer on this left-hand side, where he just had like acres of space. Yeah. And so all of these chances were either Spicer not shooting or not making the cross. So everything was falling to him, and he was wasting everything. And so I feel like we did have opportunities to score some goals, even though we were playing so bad. Like, it could have been 2-1. It could have been 2-2 by the end of that half, maybe unjustly towards the Red Bulls. But it's not like we didn't have any chances. And we have to thrive on, the open play, counter-attacking, that's where we get our goals. Well,
and John,
so
let
when
me say,
we don't score from those, that's where I get really worried, because it's like, that's our bread and butter.
So when it comes to this team, I will say the Red Bulls, they were the under-23 squad for the most. So they were the MLS Next Pro champs under Michael Bradley, and it looked very seamless for them. Now, when it comes to Orlando, Pasalic got cooked by Marshall Ruddy. I think Marshall Ruddy frustrated him. He was not himself. I think he was really demoralized, it seemed, at times. And
it would have been Dos Santos, but I get
well,
your point.
Well, I'm talking about Dos Santos. Yeah, sorry about that. But when it comes to, if you go up real quick, so Dorsey was going forward because probably Pasalic wasn't doing pretty much nothing. And what that would occur, can you go up a little bit? Yeah. What that would do is it will literally leave a gap where Dorsey is. So Brekalo didn't know, am I going to help Iago here or am I going to go cover the empty spot? And Ruvalcaba was just going ape shit like on the flank. And so that hesitation, that again, an inexperienced Iago, and that's really good. It speaks good for the MLS. I mean, because you're talking about and again, people say, "Oh, you're selling smoke. You're selling smoke." I'm not selling any smoke. He was the under 20 MVP of the whole entire continent for Copa Libertadores for Flamengo, one of the top clubs in South America. So that tells you that if the MLS, it's tough for a kid that has that type of level of pedigree. He was the best in the continent. It speaks good about the league. Now, nonetheless, I think Oscar admitted he rushed him, to start, and that's on him 100%. And Brecalo, I mean, they speak two different languages. The kid's completely lost. Brecalo's trying to help him, leaving gaps, and Ruvalcaba and Cowell was just having a feast. Marin did as much as he could. I think we're seeing a better version of Marin, but we're not. He needs to be a static back, so he needs to just stay in position. Don't
Yeah,
ask
and I don't know that we saw enough, Luis. I mean, to that point,
don't ask him to come forward. Just have the back four stay static.
But his best moments are when he comes forward. That's the thing. He's not good at the defensive part. That's honestly what it is. Like,
well,
he's what I call bus hopping a lot. Like he's standing there watching things go by him too much, I think. What are you going to say, David?
He started well, but then the stamina didn't pan out for him.
Yeah. Well, and to both of your points about the left-hand side being like the key to unlocking Red Bull in the first half, why didn't, and we've seen this in the past, so it's not like I'm saying something that's crazy, but why didn't Oscar, when he saw that Spicer wasn't finishing his chances, why didn't he ask Pasalic and Spicer to switch? We've seen we saw Angulo and Pasalic switch a ton last season. He would do the whole and especially when Facu was here, they do it a lot. He would just gesture and they would switch sides, right? What I would have done is put your DP, who can put the ball on frame, right? Put him on the left-hand side if that's where you're getting all the chances from, and let him start firing those shots or making crosses or whatever it was. Because Spicer just didn't have it. And I don't want to sit here, I'm noticing some people in the chat doing it, and I saw people online. I'm not going to sit here and say Spicer's a failure now, let's give up on him. I'm not in that camp. This is one game, guys. I'm not sitting here and going to dog him. It's the same thing with Iago. I saw our friend Skeeter Jeep said Iago failed at everything basically defensively. No, he didn't. There's good things in his game that you can go back and look at. He had a bad game, though. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat what it was. He was not good. But again, this kid came in a week and a half ago, so I'm not going to sit here and dog the guy. And I'm sorry, but I still don't believe that Brecalo has done enough, or even Crepeau has not done enough to get this line organized, because it just was still not organized.
He looked better. I mean, overall, if you count the handball, I think Dorsey, for what he did in this game, even though he had some, he was being here only for 4 days with the team in general, including videotape and all of that. He did overall better than Adrian Marin. And so I feel like there's some hope, right? Just Oscar needs to make it work. Again, when it comes to Brecalo, I do feel, and I know for sources, that more than likely you will see Nolan Miller. I think Iago is going to kind of, I'm super positive, and I think we can take a lot of positives at the beginning of the season. I'm definitely not going to throw in the towel and rip my shirt off and say, oh my God, I want to kill myself. No, I'm not going to do that. But I do say is you're playing a league darling like Inter Miami, right? And I feel as a fan and also as I saw it as well in the press box, a little bit more confident. I think everybody feels more confident with Nolan Miller and Brecalo there.
He's the safest choice. I agree. I think he's the safest choice.
And I think even his demeanor in the press conference as well was pretty impressive for such a young kid that just coming from Michigan. You know what I mean? The kid was super impressive. Now, again, Orlando struggled to this under 23 Red Bull team. So Inter Miami, it's full of experience. I mean, again, I think soccer, you got to take it game by game, but definitely not a good attitude.
I was going to say too, they just got worked. So if it's anything, I mean, I know we're not an LAFC, but
the other thing I was going to say is on them playing their kids, right? Like I know a lot of people here are skeptical around us playing some of these youth guys and giving them a real chance, but I think it shows. Like, there's look at what we always talk about Philly. Look at some of these Red Bulls kids. Like, you don't know who's going to be at the level. I mean, we're talking about the second half. Like, talk about Colin Gusky. Like,
100%.
No, I don't think anybody expected Colin Gusky to put in that kind of performance when he got called in 10 minutes into the game. I didn't even expect him to go in, honestly. So I think that there's something to be said for maybe not every kid is ready, but some kids are ready. Like, look at Adri Mehmeti. That kid, he looks very ready, and he's like 17 years old.
Oh
so
gosh.
I think we have to. This is when I say stuff like Taifi, I feel like he's ready. It's not just because I want to play the kids. It's because I feel like they could actually contribute something. So, maybe we should look at this, what the Red Bulls are doing, and be like, oh, maybe the kids can be good.
What a full circle moment for Sak Taifi. I do want to say with the assist, and then obviously looking at the stands, kudos to you. Yes, he had some turnovers, Colin Gusky, yes, but I take the attitude. I mean, because he came in like part of the group. You know what I mean? Like I'm part of the group. I'm not OCB here. You know what I mean? I'm not playing Chattanooga. I'm ready for the MLS. And certainly he came in, he tackled, he was aggressive, he was vocal with the ref, complaining. He's saying, "Hey, what the hell?" And like, that's the attitude we need to have.
Yeah, that ref was bad.
His stats are not, probably as impressive as you may see, but I do feel like I take the attitude. I think he really worked hard, and I see some potential, and I agree with John. Play the freaking kids, man.
Well, guys, don't forget, our other U22 didn't see the field because he's still making his way back. But Ulis Otavio is another one of those guys that's going to wreck the game in the middle of the field.
100%.
So I don't feel as bad. I mean, I feel bad for Wilder, don't get me wrong. But I don't feel as like, oh, no, we're screwed. Because I know that we've got Gusky now who put in a pretty decent performance for us. But Luis Otavio's here as well. And yeah, he's 18 years old. But like, the kid played the most professional minutes in Brazil last year out of all three of the U22s when he played with Internacional. So if he's healthy and he's ready to go, and him and Gusky are duking it out all week for that defensive midfielder spot, great. Iron sharpens iron, guys, and we've got to play the young kids.
Basically, Keith put a really great comment here. The difference is these kids have a hunger for minutes, and they want to show up and show out.
The difference is these kids think they're actually going to get minutes. I think that is like a mentality thing, because they think their coach will give them minutes, right? Like, I think that's my issue with Oscar is just don't be so, he's supposed to be an academy guy. Why is it so hard for you to give more chances to like guys like Taifi, right? Guys like Colin Gusky, guys like Caraballo. We're seeing it, and when we do see these guys, often they can contribute. So I get frustrated by the fact that we just like, why do we have to beg Oscar to give some kids a chance?
To add to it, he used his academy all the time. Like, the guy was known for using his academy. So I don't know why there's like such a big hesitation now to go out and use your academy when Orlando City's been building a strong academy over the last like couple of years. I just don't get it.
And these are kids. I mean, it's just always the way you like. And I heard this from a lot of fans that I talked to after the game, walking to the parking lot. She said, "Louis, sometimes it's not the loss; it's how you lost." You know what I mean? If we are okay, some fans, long fans, or old fans since day one, we could lose, but if we see that these kids bled out purple on the field, we're gonna recognize that. You know what I mean? But if we see that they're just like not being physical, not giving an F, right? Not giving an F, then we're gonna have a problem with that. And I think what we saw was these kids really feeling the love for the badge, for the love for the club that's given them an opportunity to be pros. You know what I mean? And I think the coach and the club needs to recognize that. And I think after Sak Taif in that beautiful assist, after that Angulo run, I think now Oscar's going to have to put the kids, because we need depth, and we need to put our eggs in Tyree Brown, into even Harvey, and all those young kids that are now part of the Orlando City first team. So, yeah, Thiago had an immediate impact too. So he came in and changed the game 100%. Devin Harvey says, agree with Warm. There you go.
Who's
Kenneth
Warm?
Allen. Crepeau tied the club record with 11 saves for that game. Yeah, talk about Crepeau.
Awards. Got you.
Maxime.
Listen, he shocked me. When we saw him against Colorado, I was like, I don't know. And then we saw some stuff. We saw some other stuff in preseason and stuff, and I was like, I don't know if he's up to the task. I don't know if he's up for it. But like that stat right there, goals prevented, 3.63. That's one of the biggest goals prevented numbers I've ever seen. And I'm a stats nerd, and I looked at that and was like, what? There ain't no way. But yeah, this guy was standing on his head, especially in the second half. He came out of that tunnel and was like, I can't let another goal in for us to have a chance in this game. And that's exactly what he did. I mean, he did exactly that and then some. And like, honestly, his performance in the second half was flashes of like peak Galese. I'm not going to let this in. I'm going to knock it out. I'm going to use the post. I'm going to use the crossbar. I'm going to do all these things to make sure it's not going to go in. And I just really awesome performance from the Canadian, to really like figure it out in the second half. I know he's probably kicking himself at least on one of those or two of those, but like, I mean, he came out and played and then some in the second half, and he deserves all the plaudits for that.
If he keeps playing this way and is consistent, I can tell you he's going to be the number one for Canada. Don't you think, John?
I mean, look, the XG GOT 5.63. Like he was getting peppered. Like our defense, like I said, we should have conceded 6. Like
100%.
And I'm a little critical of him, because I think in that first goal, like I said, he came off his line, and this is something I've seen him do, and I don't like. I want him to stand where he is and have faith that we're going to pick up the guys. So that's my only criticism in this game. Everything else, like he was everywhere, diving, making great saves, holding balls. And I think in the second half, he showed like, hey, this is why they picked me up, right? And I think all of us had a little bit of doubt about Maxime Crepeau. And I didn't expect after one game to be like, oh, okay, I feel really comfortable with Maxime Crepeau, but we should do.
John, it must be
one game.
It must be a Canadian thing. It must be a Canadian thing, because I saw Dane St. Clair had a really weird, came out too far and got beat by LAFC as well. So these Canadian keepers
maybe
must
it's
have
the
this.
Canadian national team go coach. He's teaching them all to come off their line too early.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, like he's trying to revive his career, and I know that he is happy to be here. He has family here or something, right? He's got people in Orlando. So this is a good situation for him. I want it to work out, and he had a great game despite the couple errors in the first half. Most of what happened in this game, you cannot really blame Maxime Crepeau. He made it so it wasn't 5 or 6-0.
To be honest, sometimes it feels like Oscar sticks with what looks best on paper instead of trusting the hungry young players we need to push through tough stretches of the season. I completely agree with you on that. Josh Dahl, Maxime played great. Yeah, he did. The Skeeter Jeep, 145. I was skeptical, but the young ones actually matched the right back energy and made a difference. Thank you, sir. Just recall the applause when our younger players got subbed in. The fans know they have the mentality. And I like that. Like I said, Thiago, Taifi, etc., they were class. Look, I remember, and I know I don't want to bring the back in my time, but back in 2016, 17, with all due respect, I know John's there, but that team was not hungry at all whatsoever. It was built to get hunted, not built to hunt, and again, I would rather lose, scratching the surface and giving my all 110% than lose without even trying, giving up, right? So I think fans know that they're not dumb. Frankie Cosmos, I would guess it's gotta be a Twist 10 Brian starting against Miami. I don't know about that.
From what I've heard, it probably won't be because
Yeah.
Atuesta has hamstring tightness, and they're not sure if he'll be ready to go for Inter.
Yeah, so right now we out obviously Jensen, we out Gerbe, right?
Wilder, and then most
Well,
likely
Wilder.
Atuesta.
Yeah, and Atuesta. So
But Otavio's in full training this week, so that's a plus. So take that for what it's worth.
So we're gonna see Colin Gusky and Brian Ojeda more than likely. Now,
Most likely.
let's talk about the animal in the room right now.
What do you
Mr.
call this? Like, what is this that
So,
we saw
that's-
Ivan Angulo
so
do?
this is-
Like,
so
what
this
do
is
you
what I
call
think
this thing.
I
It
think
looked
this
like
is
it
what
looked like this.
So realistically, guys, and I rewatched the broadcast today. I think what Oscar was really playing was a 4-2-2-2 because you saw Angulo come centrally a lot to come collect the ball and kind of play wrecker in the middle of the field. So I think really what it was is they asked Gusky and Brian Ojeda to be sort of the defending the back line, right, and those kind of spots, and then Ojeda and Angulo. Tincho played next to each other, and then you kind of had Spicer to start, and then eventually Thiago came in, which again, I think Oscar should have subbed Thiago on earlier, but we won't go there. But it was Spicer and Duncan, and then it was Thiago. Was it Thiago and Duncan? I think it was. So I think really what it looked like was a 4-2-2-2, and then I think he just went to Angulo and said, Angulo, go wherever. Like, go where you need to go find the game. Go wreck where you need to go wreck the game, because you know Angulo's going to give you energy, right? The guy's quick. He's going to run all over the place. You can tell him to go do that. He's going to go do it, and that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, per sources, you won't see him start. If you see him start, it'll be a coach decision. I highly doubt he'll start. I think, like David says, he's like a Pokemon, you know. I choose you, you know, you use them when like you're down in a battle, you know what I mean, and you kind of have to throw the Pokeball.
Now I'm trying to think what kind of Pokemon Angulo would be if he was a Pokemon.
I don't know. I don't want to be suspect. He's probably the Arepamon.
Whatever is the fastest.
He's probably
Pokemon they got.
a Lightning Mon or something. Maybe a Raichu. A Raichu. There you go. So I think he comes better off the bench, and I think it's always. I think we all could agree on that.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think also,
and
it's kind of like a water carrier role, right? He's just getting the ball up the field, and that's what Angulo does best, and he does really well getting back to recover the ball, and so that's all he was doing. Really, he was doing the box to box midfield role. And I think that's best for him, because I don't really want him at the very back of the field. Like, I don't want him being 100%. In the last back line. I don't want him at the other end of the field, because he doesn't put quality crosses or, you know, finish his chances. So the best thing he can do is win the ball back, carry it up the field, and give it to somebody else. That's honestly a great use for Angulo. And not to be harsh, but that's just realistically, right? We're talking about this with Spicer. We just can't have Angulo out there just wasting chances for a whole game. And that's what frustrated me about the first half with Spicer, was he had this opportunity to bury some goals, and we just saw, like we said, his best Angulo impression. So whoever's going to play that left wing, like David said, it should probably be Thiago, right? Thiago should really be starting at that left wing. And then bring Ivan on to play this role off the bench, I think is a great use of his skills, or wherever you want to bring him off the bench, because he is versatile, and his speed against tired legs is way more effective, in my opinion.
Now, I know that we're going to be talking about Inter Miami on Thursday, but I do want to tell you guys, these guys are a bunch of prima donnas, man. They're a bunch of, you know, and they're going to cry, bitch, moan. They're going to try to fight for every tackle. If the players are listening and watching, you got to be mentally prepared. Watch a lot of Rambo movies, a lot of Die Hard movies, Expendables. Like, start watching like a lot of, like, you know, GoldenEye, like, you know, start watching a lot of those action films. Literally, because mentally, they're going to try to talk you out of a lot of stuff. Falcone and Suarez and Messi especially, he tried to go and beat up the refs because they didn't call his shit. So like and then you have also.
But Luis, MLS said he didn't try to go beat up the refs. So
come on.
Remember, the Coliseum is just corridors after corridors after corridors, Luis. This is like Mario's castle up in here. You just keep going. You can never get to the refs room.
We have a lot of young cats that if they get provoked, they're gonna bite back. You know what I mean? And they know this, and so they know, so they're gonna try a lot of BS. But I mean, nonetheless, let's talk about Nolan Miller, because I mean the kid came and he made an immediate impact defensively. He looks so much better than Iago. Not to take anything away from the Brazilian, but he just looked like, he has played the system, the American system. He's a little bit more adapted to the everyday. He already played in the MLS Next Pro with Columbus, and not with a lot of minutes, but definitely knows kind of like what the drill of what a footballer is in the US. Yao is a newcomer, and you could definitely see that. And I love the work ethic and the attitude. I think he adapted correctly, and I love the fact that he came and thanked everyone. He was very polite. Like, I've never met a most polite player in my whole entire tenure covering the team. So kudos to Nolan Miller. Thoughts on Nolan, John?
Yeah, man. I mean, look, I believe in Iago, and I want Iago to work out, but there was a reason that I was predicting that Nolan Miller would be starting against the Red Bulls. I just think that it does matter a lot about how quickly you get into the team and how quickly you settled in, et cetera, et cetera. So I really feel like Nolan Miller showed in the preseason why he could be a starter. So I think that Oscar then clearly was like, okay, I know what I've got with him at least, and used him really to patch up the back line, right? So if you're already being brought on to solve a problem, I think that's a great sign. Will we see him, on against Saturday against Messi? We'll talk more about that on Thursday when we preview the Miami game, but I'm thinking it's probably going to be the case, like you said already, Luis. They're not feeling Iago just yet. Not that I want to give up on him, but it's great that Nolan Miller is ready to go. And I thought his press conference was excellent, although I don't really understand why after a loss we threw in our two newest players to join the team to answer for everything. I don't like that personally. Again, we talked about this before, Luis, right?
Yeah, they
where was Brecalo? Where was Ojeda? Where was one of the other guys, veterans, to kind of take some ownership? Griffin Dorsey took all the ownership and was like, "This is unacceptable." The season started,
and the guy was here for 4 days. Yeah.
So that's what I mean but the club seems to do this. I don't know. We've talked about Luis. I don't know if they think we want to hear from the new guys. I do, sure, but I also want to hear from the captain and the heads that have been here, the leaders of the squad, to say, "Hey, I should take some ownership, not just put it on the new dudes."
I'm going to rip the Band-Aid. I'm going to say why they do that. I should not say it, but I don't care. They monitor everything online. And they know when the fans put a player above another. So they try to read the crowd. So when you saw Spicer doing the pregame interview, it's not because they give the mic to Spicer and he was available. It's because they know you're not gonna, you know what I mean? You're gonna be like, oh, it's my favorite player, Spicer. Oh, Spicy T, great. It brings a smile to your face to see Spicer, rather than seeing, for example, Ivan Angulo. Well, why are you giving this guy the freaking mic, man? So it's just kind of what's calling controlling the narrative, and every club does it. It's not just it's an MLS thing. Yeah. I wouldn't really say it's OCSC. It's just how all clubs are, and unfortunately, it's just the way the league is. I think if we will have a better commissioner, I think a lot of things will be much better, but again, it's the same thing with you. I completely agree. I really, honestly, when people say, "Oh, but Lewis, you have to ask, like, you have to like get in their face and shit, man. You know, you gotta ask the tough questions, bro." I was like, "How do you want me? Why do you want me to tell Dorsey, bro? He has 4 days, 4 freaking days. What do you want me to ask Dorsey? There's really nothing to ask freaking Dorsey, you know." And then Nolan Miller, what are you gonna tell Nolan? Hey Nolan, how was it? You know, how was it playing for an MLS team? Like, there's really no, you know what I mean? I agree with you. I think we should have heard from, for example, Martin Ojeda. We should have heard from hopefully Wilder if he wasn't as injured to give an update how he feels. But
they could
again,
do it in Spanish. Like, I don't have an issue with that at all if they don't feel comfortable.
Yeah, I'll translate for free.
And like,
I was gonna say half the reporters in the room speak Spanish.
Exactly, it's all set up for that, so that's not an excuse.
Well, can I say this to go to Luis's point? Because I understand where Luis and the club's coming from, like Luis explaining it, and of course the club doing what they're doing. But like, it's kind of insulting to the diehard fan, no? Because like, we know who the team revolves around, right? We're not so like obtuse that we don't understand that like the captain is Ojeda and like things should go through the captain, and that's how big teams go through their stuff. And like, for example, like I get what your point of like, yeah, you probably don't want to put Angulo out there unless he scores a brace, right? Because then fans will crucify him and whatever, right? But like in that moment, because Oscar of course starts his press conference in what I thought was kind of a weird way by being like, yeah, it's on me, we screwed up the first half. And it's like, yeah, no crap, dude. We just watched it. Like, I appreciate you owning it, but like, you still didn't set these guys up for success. And the club knows, right, that fans have been crucifying him all off season. So he's gonna talk. He should talk. He should get the most FaceTime, whatever. But to John's point, give me Martin Ojeda and say, hey, Martin, what happened? Like, what was going on there? If you still want to put one of Dorsey out there or one of Nolan Miller as the second guy, I'm okay with that. But to me, the captain should always be ready and available to answer questions from the press.
Or like Maxime Crepeau. Like, why
exactly.
He would have been great. Yeah, he would have been great.
Exactly. I would have asked, for example, hey, Martin, what happened in the first half? You know, how was it feeling Mehmeti, Dunkor, and Forsberg? Was it tough for you facing those three dudes? You know what I mean? Like, I could have asked that question because, I mean, he was non-existent in the first half. I mean, he was
Dorsey and Miller, they did speak really well. I don't want to, like, put anything down.
No, 100%.
Like, not to, they were really good. It was great to see the new guys. But that's just, like we said, we don't want them to take the heat for, you know, the whole team.
Because I would have loved to hear from Crepeau and been like, hey, Max, first half not as good for you either. You let 2 goals in, but then the second half, you were a brick wall back there. What changed? What did you see? Who was the people in front of you? How did that work out? When Nolan came on, did it make the look different? Did he give you different things that Iago wasn't able to give you? Like, those are all great questions that you guys that were there could have asked Max and said, hey, how do you feel about, what is it, tying the club record or whatever it was with 11 saves? How do you feel about tying that record in your first game? How did it feel to have the wall behind you and really feel the support of what was going on in the stadium and all that? Those are all things I would have loved to hear, you know, from, you know, in that case. But like, to ask a guy who was 4 days in the city and trained twice, and then to ask a college kid whose first season is with us, and yeah, he's been here all preseason, but he hasn't really talked to the media all that much. It just would have been nicer to hear from those guys that really played an impact. And then I am, for one, those people that think the captain should be available after every game. Coach and captain should be available after every single game, and then put whoever you want else out there as well.
I'm guessing like, I don't care to do with them having debuts, and that's also why they do it. So it's like, oh, they had a debut, so you want to hear from the debut players, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things. Is it kind of eases up. It's kind of like a cushion. You know, it coming with an L. You don't want to see
softballs about your first game.
Right. Coming with an L, you're always going to see, like, for example, let's say Taifi would have scored. You would have seen Taifi. He would have taken probably most of the press conference.
Well, here's another one. But to your point, why not put Thiago out there? Because Thiago did score. So, like, did you not want to put the translator out there to work with Thiago? Because he would have been an interesting person to hear.
Like Brazilian translator.
Yeah, I think so.
I believe we do.
The club's got to have one.
I mean, the
press conference, we must do. I've never seen it.
Put Ricardo out there. It's fine.
Well, I know,
Yeah.
for example,
We got
I
like
know
lots of
there's
staff members that speak all
yeah,
three
there's a lot of
languages.
staff
Yeah.
members that do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I would have loved to hear from Thiago because again, he's a young kid. He just scored his first goal for Orlando City. How did it feel to come on in the second half and you helped change the game? How did you help change the game? What did you see from Taifi? What did you see from Angulo, who was wrecking the game? That would have been nice to hear from him of like the moments that he saw, because he got involved in a few different moments where he could have scored a few times, right? And could have changed the game altogether. The one I remember is the header across the goal that no one was really on the end of, that he put back into play and we couldn't really like finish it. Those would have been great things to like hear from that. But again, I'm always in the camp of coach, captain, and then pick a random third person that you feel like should be talking. Coach and captain should be the default every single time. I want to hear from Martin. What is Martin seeing out there? He's been with this team for a while. He's going to be the face of the club for a while. I want to hear from him often and see what he has to say.
Skitter Jeep says, any comment about Martin Ojeda? He looked the same as the last 10 games. Only 42 touches in 90 minutes and 13 passes, of which only 3 were in the final third. Yeah, he didn't have I mean, even though he's in FOTMOB, he's on the he's on the greens because he had a lot of passes and chances created. He really wasn't as effective, and that's one of the questions I wanted to ask him. Is like, was Donkor, Forsberg? I mean, you faced them before. What was different this time that caused you so much trouble that you were completely decimated?
Really?
I was going to say, we said earlier, like, the DPs didn't contribute. Like, we said this way earlier, like, both DPs were invisible, like, most of the game. So I'm not going to sit here and say if his touch number is down, he must suck. I don't care about touches. It depends on what he does with them, right? That's the bigger thing. He had a better second half. I don't think anyone can argue that. But it still wasn't enough to like move this team in the right direction. And so the DPs have to step up, especially since we're down 1. We need the other 2 to be ready.
I know we're near qualified to tell you what to ask in a post game, especially an L. But I never want to hear how important is. Obviously, important thing. There you go. Yeah, I totally agree with you. There's a lot of questions.
How important is it that we defend well?
I mean, I don't want to. I mean, like, I don't want to comment because some of my colleagues may feel a little. Because there's some questions. Like, for example, I personally, I'm not. I don't ask. So, tell me about your goal. How do you score that? Like, well, bro, you just saw it. Like, why am I? You know what I mean? You know, like, take me back to the moment that you score this goal. Take you back. What, Trunks time machine? Like, you want me to go fight Cell? Like, I mean, Miller did amazing, said George. Angulo's amazing. His finishing could be better, but man, what a player. And this is George. Thank you so much. I really like Dorsey, guys. Yeah, I mean, he has the man bun. What are your thoughts on the man bun, John?
Look, man, I mean, Dorsey's a vibe, okay? Like, he look, and whoever said the way he celebrated is so true. Like, if he hadn't just been unlucky with that, we would be sitting here talking about Dorsey debut goal. You know, we love the guy. Like
sack assist.
He got smoked at times, and he made mistakes, and there was giant holes behind him. But you can see when everything's working in our defense that he's going to be a hell of a player, and he's just got that thing that where like you want to like him because he's so like enthusiastic about what he does. And again, his press conference, like, he's just like, yeah, I'm here. Let's do it. I'm ready. Let's go. Like, he's all in.
It says, my wife will be happy. I won't be coming home without puppy smash chimichurri breath anymore.
Yo, I was so sad when I walked past there and I was like, wait, where's the Pappy Smash Burger?
Yeah, that's tragic.
I guess they didn't want to be in. I don't know why. There was always a line outside. It smelled great. Who didn't want a Pappy Smash Burger? But I guess they didn't renew.
I do want to give kudos to the new coffee. I think Orlando City signed a coffee deal.
The Zaza, the Cuban coffee joint in there. Yeah.
I've heard good things.
Coffee.
Yeah.
This is a great segue, guys. We've somehow managed to stumble into our next part of the show where we talk about game day experience.
Yeah, some of the best coffee I've had in a long time. I do want to say, I highly recommend that. And also, I was surprised that I think it's good because, you know, we matter the least. but the food was late for press, but the people needs to be taken care of first.
John, before we move on, can we touch a little bit on like Taifi and Thiago a little bit more, because I think they deserve a lot of credit. I know we touched on Angulo a good amount, and he definitely changed the game. And I want to give Angulo credit as somebody who has dogged on Angulo a lot this offseason. Listen, he came in and he changed the game. I'm glad he wasn't as close to goal, because I didn't want to see him try to finish balls again. I wanted to see other people go do that. But let's talk about, I know Thiago didn't have a ton of touches, and he had some miscues here and there, whatever, but the guy was making long runs back to try to make tackles. One of the ones I remember is he runs, 65 yards back, and he goes and he makes a tackle on Red Bulls to get the ball going again. And then, of course, on that whole sequence between Angulo, Taifi, and him, just masterfully played between the three of them. Taifi's in the right spot, knows when he needs.
I don't know if that always translates. Is he going to be that, is he going to create that many chances all the time? But he definitely, when he's on the field, he does things. Things happen.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he could have gone for the lone goal, but I think his unselfishness speaks volumes. And also unselfishness in the right moment too, John. You know what I mean?
And then he threw the hand up.
Like that. I'm like, guys, this is his first professional goal contribution from a kid from the academy who's played from a very young age to now. Can we not do this? Like, for real? Like, what are we talking about?
He literally has been a fan since he was a kid. Like,
unbelievable.
Please
yeah, there were people in my section that said that, and I was like, will you just shut up? Like, what are we talking about? This is stupid. Like, come on.
I've seen it all, bro. I saw a post of somebody complaining. I sent it to you guys about the chicken tender line. This is ridiculous. I want to give away. I want to take away my STM. I want to just not ever watch this team again.
Let's say this too, though. Thiago, he had a couple of chances and he probably should have finished some, but I think he was, again, like we said in the preseason, he's getting in the right spot at the right time. He understands the game really well. He gives you a different look than what Duncan is giving you, and the guy can break, man. Like, he can get out on the break like nobody's business. I don't know that there's changes for Miami. So if you can put somebody like Thiago who can run by that dude, because you can run by that dude pretty easily, this team might be able to figure it out against a Miami team that just got shelled against LAFC. They got shelled.
This Heido Garcia this game was terrible. We did not create anything. Oscar Bright has no idea how for the team, and the second half was more the desire of the players and technical approach. A couple is our ballast. It says, thank you, Heido. Appreciate you. Yeah, I mean, first half wasn't good at all. I think the second half, it was, I think he made the right substitutions. You got to give him at least that.
Too late, though, on some of them, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said if he would have brought in Nolan, Thiago, and Sack a little earlier, I agree with David there. It would have been hopefully a draw. It says, it brought me to great joy to see Miami get to bell past LAFC. And just and like my 8-year-old daughter would say, sore losers. That's her new word. Daddy, don't be a sore loser. Like,
can I ask this question before we get to the game day experience? And you guys tell me if I'm wrong, but the feeling that I got when I saw the subs at halftime was I thought Oscar should have at least tried to switch Pasalic to the other side, or let it kind of play out a little bit into the second half, as opposed to taking him off. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just feel like Oscar should have maybe put a little bit more effort into trying to help Pasalic find the game a little bit. Because again, he can be a game breaker when he's in form, right? We've seen it. I just thought at half, I was like, it's a little early to kind of pull a DP like that, unless he really was just off for the night and was like, hey, I just don't have it. Again, I don't know what the chats in the locker room were like, obviously, but it just seemed a little premature for that to happen. I don't know. I could be wrong, though.
Maybe. I mean, again, we can speculate. We could speculate. Again, I don't know this, but it could have been just he just wasn't mentally there, maybe he felt something and they wanted to prevent an injury and they needed to bring somebody that was more explosive like Angulo, at that time. I don't know, but I agree with you. I think switching, like you guys were saying, when Faku was there, the front three would change spots all the time. So Heda on the right, Faku on the left, and then Angulo in the middle, and they will all switch and scramble, and that will really throw defenses completely berserk. I think that would be a great strategy for Oscar to start.
Because what I would have done is I would have taken Spicer off because we saw he just didn't have the end product, right? I would have taken Spicer off, put Pasalic out left, let Angulo play right, and then just see, because you were getting everything through the left side, see if Pasalic had a way to turn the screws a little bit, right? And then if it wasn't working out, then sub on Thiago and say, okay, Pasalic doesn't have it today. Let's get Thiago on and do what we need to do, but do it 10 minutes earlier than when you did. Because remember, Thiago comes on for Spicer anyway. So like that substitution happens regardless. So again, if Pasalic doesn't have it, instead of subbing for Spicer in that case, you're subbing for Pasalic. So I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too big brain here. But
no, I agree. I would have rather taken Spicer off. I think it's probably a minutes thing for Pasalic. I think they're taking it easy with him.
Yeah.
I just want to see him get going. That's my big thing. Is like we need our DPs to hit, and both of them were cold on Saturday. You can't debate that, right? And so I was just hoping one of them could get involved.
Frankie Collins, when you think the edible isn't working, all of a sudden it really starts working. Been there. There you go. It says, well, it will be because the Wilder is out indefinitely, says Frankie Cosmos. No, he's not out indefinitely. He'll be back. It seems that he probably pulled something, but he's not gonna be sidelined for many weeks. Maybe he'll sit down this game against Miami and then come back on the following. Generally, can be anywhere but the wall, because I always hear the worst takes. And it says, I celebrated the goal even though I knew it was an L, says Kenneth Allen. Yeah. I was a little disappointed with that Angulo. That should have gone in. And then, we would have had a draw, and that would have been even more of like...
and Thiago would have had 1-1. He would have had a goal and an assist. Just saying.
Yeah, and that definitely would have said, yeah, you're starting next game. But let's talk about the game day experience. I know we were talking about Sasa Coffee.
I'm going to go in 5 minutes. So I want to give you guys my top-down view. I went over to the tailgates for the Ruckus and the ILF and got some great footage of them doing their stuff. So I'm going to put together a little video of like what game day one was like from a tailgate pregame perspective. Hopefully, there more people will join the supporter groups. Hopefully it'll be like an advertisement for them. It was great to see them out in full force and the march to the match and all that stuff. The other thing I wanted to say on game day experience is the big ass fans. Like, everyone thinks I'm joking about this, but honestly, you walk around the concourse. Like, I don't know if you had a chance to feel it, Luis, but like that I could feel the air like flowing. Like, you could feel a breeze walking around that concourse. Like, it's so nice. So for years of like just having no airflow, like when the summer comes, everyone's gonna be so thankful for this airflow and these fans. So I know it's like a small thing, but just something like that I think makes a big difference to just game day environment. But I know there's lots of other new things, like we got the new seating sections, the TIFO, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to run because I promised to be on another pod in a minute. But those are my thoughts on game day, and I will see all you guys on Thursday.
All right. See you, John.
To go to the new section, Luis, real quick. So it looks like it filled out pretty decently, but what I don't understand is, why did they make the seats gray? Like, it doesn't fit in with the rest of the stadium at all. And I felt like at the very least, they should have been colored to match the rest of the stadium, because then it looks empty when you look at it. But then when you look closely enough, you see people sitting in those seats. I don't know. It just seems kind of strange the way they like put that together.
They should have made them color like the jersey yellow and purple.
Or purple. I mean? Yeah. Something. It just seemed off. But I'll say this, like the food selection was great. Like the substitutions that they made to add like more food places and different food places, I think they all did really well. I didn't eat at the game, but I saw a lot of great like options and things like that. This is going to be my annual conversation about Security, it stunk again this year. It stinks every opening
What
match.
happened
I
with
don't
security?
just too long. The lines are too long. They weren't moving
Yeah.
people in quick enough. Like the ticket people are always slow. They don't know what to do when, errors come up and they all stand around. They go, "Oh my God, I don't and they like look around for a bunch. It's just it happens every opening day, and then they iron themselves out by like mid-season. But it's like, why do we do that every single time? I just don't get I don't get why they can't figure that out, but I won't go too far into it. But the rest of the experience though was pretty good. For those of you that don't know, I sit on the south end, so I'm in sections like 1 through 6 back there. And normally I have issues like the first couple games of like them being like, wait a minute, do you belong here? Hold on a second. I didn't get any of that this year, so that was a plus. So yeah, I think overall they just felt a little bit better. The energy was great in the stadium, especially for an opening match. I hope we can keep that energy all year, but I worry that if this team starts losing games, we might not keep that energy. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But
Yeah, it was again, no one wants to lose an opening day, and I think a sold out crowd, almost a sold out crowd. So kudos on the club on that. And I know, there's a lot of rumors and that saying, oh, they give away tickets and shit like that. It's all fugazi sometimes, but I think you see people coming into the games and they expecting obviously a W. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, but we'll see what happens against Miami. I will say people complained the past few seasons about the quality of the scarves. Too thin, right? Some people made a big deal about it, but now we have better scarves. We have better scarves right here. Better scarves. They're thick, they're not like thin, right? So they're listening to you guys, there you go. Kudos to Roughneck.
those look like that looks like a nice scarf, Luis. I gotta say,
yeah. They're the sunken treasure scarf.
Nice. Okay, yeah, it looks
So
nice.
That's the scarves right there. Nice, very nice quality. So I don't know what they had it in the gift shop and stuff. So they're improving their quality of their scarves. So people were complaining about that.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance. I didn't get a chance to pop into any of the merchandise locations, unfortunately, because I got there a little late and everything was packed by that point. So
the new section is an effing eyesore. It looks ugly, low capacity. That's the one that's right below the press box, right?
Yes, yeah. It's right below you guys now. Yeah.
Look, I looked, and then I
Yeah.
see people eating. I
Right.
could see what they were eating. I saw a guy cutting his baked potato, and just like going like, you know what I mean, like, and then Taifi did the pass, and then he almost like choked, and then he had to grab a sip of water or whatever. Yeah. So hey, but people like it, man.
I mean, we'll see. First game, Luis. So let's see what it looks like when we get into like the heat of the heat of the summer and all that. We'll see if it stays full. I'm still convinced that if they don't fill it up, they're going to start reaching out to STMs to upgrade to that section if they can't fill it out.
Skeeter Jeep 145, no STM gift yet. A $15 beer in my ongoing battle with that front office about the discount code.
I'm sorry about that, Skeeter. That sucks.
Yeah, you should. We'll definitely let Mr. What was the marketing? I forgot his name. The marketing.
Well, also, I would say too, Skeeter, whoever your rep is at this point, if they're not able to like help you get that fixed, I would suggest, because this has worked for me in the past, is just request to speak to their supervisor or their boss, because they're when you get the bosses involved, they're normally pretty good at getting that resolved. But worst case scenario, if it still happens for you, Jared Dillon's pretty active on social media.
Yeah,
I wouldn't ping him all the time, but I would maybe ping him if you're not getting the results you're looking for.
Yeah. That tells you I don't talk to him, because I didn't remember his name.
Skeeter, I disagree. My code worked for me, so I'm not sure what everyone else was going through. I mean, maybe the person forced it through, but mine scanned for sure, so I don't know I'm not sure what everybody else is experiencing. So.
And then, obviously, I do want to show. Look at that, the treasure.
Nice.
As a One Piece fan, I could tell you, I'm ecstatic for this. I have not opened it. I'm gonna open it now, with everybody. So, obviously, as a yellow and gold fan, I'm very excited to show the sunken treasure, guys. The sunken treasure. There you go. I'm gonna be definitely doing a video on this. So exciting. Beautiful jersey, man. I mean, I know people don't like it, but like, you know, I have to say it's a beautiful kit, man. I'm very excited. Now, I still like the Legacy kit. Obviously, it has dear in my heart because it has a 3-headed lion, but this one is different, and hopefully Griezmann is gonna look spiffy on it. You know what I mean?
I'd prefer him in purple, but yeah, appreciate what you're saying.
Nice scarf, but scarf is slap in the face compared to 2015, and it's gotten worse. Well, let me tell you, I was part of the 2015. I got. Do you remember when Orlando first came into the MLS and they gave away those Orlando 2015 scarves? I have one of those.
Mm-hmm.
And it had the old MLS logo on the side. Well, that is very thin. That's how a lot of the scarves for STMs were made for the longest time. This one, I believe, it's actually like a nice, like a scarf that you buy at the store. So it's a kind of like looks like a like a Premier League type of like thick like scarf. You know what I mean? So let's see, right? Being a soccer fan is like being a kid on Christmas opening a fresh crisp kit. Yeah, man, it's beautiful. I'm still would love, and I'm gonna throw this idea: media versus fans soccer game. Media versus fan. I'm a defender. I like to go rough. Alonso is a number 9. You got Mike Ramajo playing the wing. You got Michael Citro holding the 8. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Luis, you guys barely have enough to do a 5-a-side. I don't know if you could do a full team, to be honest.
We have Austin Davies. He's a goalkeeper. Play basketball in college. There you go. Bro, let's do it. Media versus fans. Put your money where your mouth is. Let's see your ability with the ball. Let's go. Let's make it happen. They do it in Seattle. They do it in what's it called? They do it in Cincinnati. I know for a fact. I think it'd be. I would think it'd be funny. I think it'd be hilarious. Nice scarf. It says that at the self checkout. This is a Skeeter Jeep. Yeah. So, what other things have they improved this season in difference from the previous ones that have you seen? It's pretty much the same.
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly the same. I think the fans are the biggest improvement. It's kind of hard to notice if you're not paying attention, but it definitely felt better in the concourse when you were in the concourse. The energy felt better, I felt like. But again, first game, so let's see how the energy feels, the rest of the season. Like I said, the food options looked really good. I didn't really have issues with anything that I went to go use. I did pick up a couple of like things here and there, not merchandise, but like beverages and things like that. So yeah, I don't know. A lot of it seemed pretty well put together. I mean, I know some people had some issues with some of the digital stuff. Like I know they mentioned the codes and whatever, but that stuff gets normally ironed out, and normally you can talk to people about that. They're pretty receptive. So yeah.
When it comes to, I don't know if you guys had some issues with the internet on that day, but
yeah, but I tend to struggle because of how many people are normally there to begin with. But I know the media had some issues. I know I heard from a few people in the box had issues
with the internet.
Yeah.
But it always happens in the first and game day one. It's like it usually happens. Um, but again, it's gonna be a roller coaster ride this season. Hopefully, we hear some more news about Griezmann, and it becomes fruition. Anything else you want to add, John, David, before we go?
Yeah, I mean, as much as this one wasn't fun for us, I've got confidence going into Sunday. Optimism. I have cautious optimism going into Sunday, just because I think now, obviously, Poppy will have to do his due diligence to figure out what the best lineup is for Sunday. But remember, guys, Miami has their moved preseason match that got moved because Messi got hurt or whatever that is. So some of those guys are going to have to play midweek. I imagine Messi is one of those dudes that will have to play midweek. We'll see if he's going to duck us again in Orlando. Remember, he's never played in Orlando, so we'll see if he actually shows up this time. If he doesn't, I think this game ends up helping, or obviously it helps Orlando City. That's kind of obvious to say, but I still think this team needs to prepare for him to show up, and if he doesn't, it's the same game plan. Go and attack him, punch him in the mouth as soon as you can, and come out flying, because we cannot come out soft and passive like we did this past game. We've got to come out. We've got to punch him in the mouth. A win against Miami will go a long, long way to restoring confidence in this fan base if we can figure out how to beat Inter Miami. If we lose again and we go into NYCFC with 2 losses on our card, this fan base will have a big problem with what's going on. So they've got to figure out a way to win, and at the very least get a draw out of this. But we should win, because remember, guys, in the season series, we dominated them. Florida was purple in the season series against Miami last year. So we need to carry that into this year for sure.
Look, I'm a little disappointed with how this whole thing is being handled when it comes to Messi. And I'm going to just be a little brief on this. I know that we're going to be diving into the lineups for Inter Miami, the preview with Inter Miami. We're going to handle all of that on Thursday. There's also going to be a preview with my good friend Franco Panizo, which I'm going to invite him as well. That's coming out also on the weekend. But, this whole thing about what happened with Messi and the league official, Pierre-Luc Lozier, I understand that pro sucks. I think everybody knows that. I think anybody that's been watching the MLS for a long time can tell you the pro, it's sucky. But in any other league in the world, if a player will go and try to threaten a referee, whether he was a dick to you, whether he cussed you out, whether he was disrespectful, there are ways on handling insults and situations like that the right way. Acting aggressively, having your pal holding you down so you don't go and kick his ass, it's just not a good look, not only for the league, but also for you. And he should have faced suspension. And finding out that Messi will not face suspension following the post-match review of the heated exchange between him and Pierre-Luc Lozier in Los Angeles, I could tell you Lionel Messi is expected to play for Inter Miami against Orlando City on Sunday. So the match is scheduled at 7 p.m. So far, he's playing. For now, I mean, being February the 23rd at 8:22. Now the league has said, "We're my Messi, my Messi. Don't mess with my Messi. No, you, baby Messi. No, you." No, you, baby Messi. Bad referee. Don't mess with my Messi. Free to play. Okay, cool beans. This is a derby. The kids need to know that this is a derby, and they gotta scratch the surface. They gotta fight. It's a different derbies. Usually they're hard to predict because they're derbies. It could go our way. We could win 1-0. We could win 2-0, or we could also lose 5-0. You know what I mean? So again, but it's a derby. It's hard to make a prediction when it's a derby. And I think even the newcomers need to know. I think Oscar needs to let them know this is a special game, and do not fall for the traps of Messi talking you out of things, and also fall for the trap of being starstruck because you're playing in front of Messi. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Treat him just like any other player in the MLS. You know what I mean? You're playing for your club. Your club's Orlando City. Inter Miami is not paying your bills. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think the fans. So I mean, I think the fans will take the L if Orlando lost 3-2. I mean, I think they'll be like, you know what, the Lions try to claw back. It didn't happen. At least we scored 2 on them. But if the Lions are able to overcome that and win, it will be a tremendous win, 100%. So let's read some comments real quick. F Messi, I hope he never plays in our pitch. Well, he's going to. So far, he was trying to get suspended so he didn't have to drive up to the turnpike from Fort Lauderdale.
That's not a fun drive, so I don't blame him.
Inter Bitch Fest. If it was any other team, they'll be getting a backhand from the league. But Messi, exactly. You imagine if Wilder Cartagena would have done that. He would have been suspended for 3 weeks.
Well, Miazga did, and he did get suspended for 3 games.
There you go. So it's ridiculous, man. Can we borrow an Araujo for one match? I'll pay $5 and a big gulp to 2-put Messi. There you go. Wars 801. There you go. Rocco's Racing. F me face. May he never play in our pitch. We've never lost at home to Inter to Miami yet.
And I don't want to start now.
Yeah, hopefully not. Do not start Angulo. He should not start. He's not starting.
I'll say this, Luis. I always like to give people the warning for this. You know, show out, please. This is the game you need to show out for. Show up to Inter&Co. Bring all of your friends that are going to wear purple. If you need to sell your tickets, please try to make sure you're selling it to an Orlando fan. Don't sell them to Miami fans. And really, we need to just show out. The wall's going to bring it. I know they are. But every other section in the stadium needs to bring it and stick it to that pink Flamingo team because we need to desperately get a win against these guys.
And I want to say it, guys. You guys have the Brasileiro DNA, man. You know, Orlando has a Brasileiro DNA. You guys despise the Argentinians in soccer. You know, like bring that edge, man. If Iago becomes part of the first team, if Thiago starts, the Brazilians need to be like, you know, we're not gonna take this. Like we're gonna fight. We're gonna hit Messi where it hurts.
That's what I'm saying. Luis Otavio, put him in the midfield and just let him beat up on Messi the entire game, man.
And then Messi is gonna get hurt during practice. Wink, wink, says Adriana, and it's not gonna come to Orlando. We'll see. We'll see. Basically, keep. Hey, Lauderdale fans, we got some seats for you. That little exit. There you go. I mean, nonetheless, it's gonna be great. I also want to give kudos before we go. I'm gonna go ahead and share the screen real quick. So this is our website. It's loudandproudorlando.com. You guys may want to go and check it out and subscribe or for the newsletter and all of that. We do. David does a lot of the writing also with a lot of his reports here in Orlando City, for example. On the section for Orlando City, we have like, you know, the latest post that I did about the game. Kudos to Lucas Camarini, the photographer for Loud and Proud. He did a tremendous job with a lot of the pictures, not only on the site, but also on our Instagram accounts. Just make sure you go follow him, follow his social media. It's going to be on there. And also check out David's report as well on Justin Ellis and Griffin Dorsey, and also the dud. And we're going to be also putting a lot of the ins and outs, different tidbits there about Orlando City and Orlando Pride and OCB on here. So also our YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe to, you search for Loud and Proud Orlando here. And you know, we're live right now, 48 of us here on YouTube, the rest of them on X. So thank you for your support. Over 100 people live right now. And, you know, we have our post-game MLS reviews. We have our Orlando City pod, our Pride pod, and previews and predictions, hot takes. And also we are hopefully we're going to be the only outlet covering the World Cup. So it's going to be hopefully fun. Hopefully they allow us to cover the World Cup. We're going to be probably in Miami. So anything else before we go, David? Anything you want to plug? Anything you want to say before we
So
go?
I'll have some thoughts, some more collected and tactical thoughts about the match up on the website, probably middle of the week, just to kind of give everyone an idea of what I thought and maybe what we should do going forward. I'm going to be a little bit quiet at the end of the week. I'm actually in a good friend of mine's wedding, so I might be a little bit quiet. So apologies to everybody for that. But I will be at the Miami game, and obviously I'll be able to cover some stuff for that. And then don't forget, OCB kicks off on Monday. This coming a week from today. They kick off. Unfortunately, none of us will be able to be there because we do the show at that time, so it'll be kind of tough for us. But we will be covering OCB this season, so I'll have some stuff about OCB as well as some stuff to look for. As soon as they announce the full roster for OCB, I'll have some prep work on all those players, who to watch, who to look for, what players with the first team that might get a bunch of run for OCB, just so that everyone knows what to look for if they want to watch a bunch of OCB matches this season, which I hope you do, because they're going to be a solid quality team this season, and you're going to see some of those guys eventually contribute with the first team, whether that's in the US Open Cup, Leagues Cup, or even in league games. You'll see some of those guys.
FX 2011. Thank you so much, FX. Make sure you subscribe. Thoughts going into the Miami game? Well, we got it doesn't matter if we are a young team or with a lot of inexperienced players. I think they need to fight. This is a derby, and they need to fight. I think that's the attitude they need to have. If we see anything less than that, then we're probably going to lose the game. Realistically speaking, you know what I mean?
And Oscar's seat gets way hot. If he loses that game against Miami, especially if it's a blowout, his seat gets way hot.
And not only that, if the Griezmann rumors become true and then this happens, it's also, definitely they're gonna be looking, be like, hey,
hello,
Griezmann,
Wilfred Nancy, what are you doing? What are you working on?
Griezmann, like, what's happening with this coach? I don't know. Maybe Griezmann gives his take on the coach. I don't know. I mean, I've seen it all in for example, it doesn't compare at all, but in the Peruvian league, for example, when there's a big star coming in and there's a coach, and it comes when the team has lost 4 games back to back, and they're coming in and they're like, okay, are you gonna, they ask the star for the opinion on the coach. Like, what do they make him watch a couple games, and then whatever the star says, they decide, okay, well, we're going to prepare the team around the star. Let's get him a coach that's going to take him to the promised land. You know what I mean? So, again, we want the team to win against Miami. It doesn't matter if we're depleted, if, however you feel. I just think it's a derby, and derbies are meant for them to be won. You want to win your derbies. You're playing against a really big rival, state rival, a rival.
And don't forget too, guys, we'll be breaking it down fully on Thursday. So Thursday we'll have another show to break it down, go over all the tactics, what we think should happen, how we think we can win the game. All that stuff will come out on Thursday. So come join us on Thursday. Don't forget. Yeah,
you're going to have the Thursday pod. You're going to have also a preview, like you can listen on the way to the game. So there's going to be a lot of stuff. There's going to be also my POV videos coming up. So the game day, we're the only outlet that will do it. So make sure you tune in. Drop us a like, subscribe to the channel. We're Loud and Proud Orlando. Thank you, David. And to John, we love you, bro. Thank you so much. And as always, vamos Orlando. Have a good one, guys. Thank you.